Welcome, Anne. Thank you so much for joining me. And we're just saying about how exciting it is that we finally got to connect and see each other and get
Yeah.
zones together. Yeah, so many synchronicities. I'm always like looking at your posts and page too.
Oh, thank you. Wow.
I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, there's a lot, there's more to that story that I'll share with you someday, but it's pretty awesome.
Awesome. Well, let's just start by you just introducing yourself, a little bit about your background and what you do.
That's the hardest question for me to answer. That's so great. It's super difficult. I'm literally in the midst of figuring that question out. Who I've been, I guess, is easier to say that I've been a fundraiser, marketer, promoter, development director. You know, my life has revolved around communicating. And for the longest time, my communication was other people's dreams and other people's aspirations and goals and finding themselves. And that literally turned into who I was for probably the past 8 years, because I created this company where I could go in and help people compete in the world on a small budget. I gave them that, a website and social media ideas. So somewhere underneath, I always loved it and hated it, because so many of the ideas I was like, oh, I could do that so easy. But I was so afraid of doing it for me. So life kind of forced me to be where I'm at right now.
Amazing. Let's talk about that. I love life forced things.
Yeah.
Like I'm literally kind of going through something like that right now. Like, and we all go through that, like through periods of waves. Like right now, like we weren't planning on selling our home and moving, but now like it's listed and we're like, I guess let's look for an apartment. So that's like just like a life forced thing.
Yes.
So there's like little things like that coming up in my life and as we ride the wave. So if you feel comfortable sharing a little bit about that, just because like that's so relatable and so real.
Yeah, I don't mind at all. So I'll just begin at the most crucial moment. I'm not, I don't get sick very often, like rare that I get sick. And that started right at the end of high school, and I was introduced to oil of oregano. So fast forward 30 years, and I am the development director of a school system, and I get the flu. And I, of course, everybody, and innocently are saying, well, you work in a school. And I'm like, but that's not me. Like, that's not my MO. That's not part of my personal reality. And so I go to the doctor. I definitely have the flu. And all the while, I am having this actual crisis. In the midst of it, I am so tormented by who I am inside and who I'm portraying on the outside, who I'm going to work as, who I'm as a wife, as, not yet a mother. So I'm in this crisis of who I am. And 7 months, probably 7 months and a few weeks later, I'm sitting in my desk at 9 o'clock in the morning on Monday, July 9th, and my ovary ruptures.
Oh my gosh.
Like explodes. Not a slit, blew the hell up. So I wake up that night in the hospital and they've removed my ovaries, and come to find out I had the estrogen, like my egg had cancer. So the egg ovary, which is, at the time they told me, was the rarest cancer yet. And I was like, well, that's how I do things. Like, okay.
I'm unique.
Yes, exactly. That's like, why would I do anything normal? that led me to this realization that even though I don't agree with chemo and pharmaceuticals, I knew that day I wasn't strong enough to save myself. That was the realization that hit me in that moment. Who I am, I have no tools for this. I'm on the battlefield and I don't even have a knife. So I made an agreement that I would go through the chemo and I would I would never make those mistakes again. It was kind of a harsh statement, but it was the beginning of realizing that I wasn't aware of anything. I lived in a life of nothing but morning to night addictions, either trauma, food, money, approval, like you name it. That's what it was. So I had the knowledge, but I wasn't done. I obviously wasn't, hadn't had enough. So the end of May of 2019 was my husband and I's official last days as employed. So that wasn't the bottom. So 2 days later, he is sitting in the living room at 6 o'clock in the morning and he's still awake and he's watching this documentary on Netflix about juicing. And he's just got this light. He's not that interested in the stuff I am, he's a football coach and a history teacher, but he's just got this light in his face. And I'm like, okay, we could try. And inside I'm going, please back out, please back out, please back out. Let's not do this. And my mouth is saying, well, we can go to the grocery store tomorrow. And my head is saying, you're an idiot. What are you doing? Like, this is going to be another failure. And 21 days later, we're moving to Fort Collins, Colorado from Greenville, Delta, Mississippi. Literally, that was my husband and I's biggest addiction. And so without that addiction, we had to face who we really were.
Wow.
And a lot of really hard conversations. And the hardest conversation was me on a Friday night on the 21st day having a complete nervous breakdown because I had all the memories of sexual abuse come back to me in one moment. And so juicing isn't for the faint at heart. If food is an addiction, it will expose every single shadow.
Well, that's a good way of saying it. It will expose every single shadow. I just started, so as you know, as a lot of people know who watch this, like I love juicing. I do the cleanses. I add juice in my life weekly as much as I can. And recently I just started the Wild Rose Detox because last summer I had H. pylori and different kind of like symptoms of like candida my whole life and all these health issues. So I'm like, I'm going to try this detox just to like, because I don't buy sugar. Like I'm not someone that orders a medium double. Like I don't put sugar in my stuff. I don't buy sugar, but sugar seems to be in everything in some form. And I'm like, I just need to kind of like get rid of this in some way. So I just am not craving it. And so I can learn other options that don't contain all these words. And so today I'm only on day 3. And the first 2 days I felt like, oh, I got this. I'm good. Like I read the book that it came with. I have the cookbook. I bought all the things. I'm taking the supplements. I have energy. And then today I was like, I feel so emotional.
Oh.
And so underneath, like, like the sugar addiction is like emotion. And when you don't have the sugar, well, now you have to face your emotion. So that's what I'm going through right now. And I'm like, Frig, like you think you already go through it. Like I've already done the juice thing. I cry all the time. Like I laugh all the time. I have a therapist. Like I do the work. I teach it. And then I'm like, here I am back in these other emotions. Like So that's just so perfect how you said that. Like,
Yeah.
there's this shadow, and that really is like, I've been having candida issues since I was born, and now this year I'm going to be 30, and I'm just starting to clear, like, what is this buildup in my intestines and stomach? What is this hold? What are these emotions? And today, within a membership that I'm doing online, we're talking about the sacral chakra. So I was doing a sound healing. And as I'm doing the sound healing, I start thinking about, oh, like the sugar detox. I'm like releasing from that chakra. I'm like, I don't know if I've ever really felt the lower part of my body in this way. Like, like you move your body, you get your
Yeah.
period as a woman, and like you connect to that stuff. But I don't think I've ever like fully connected to that area of my body. And that's kind of what I'm going through right now is like, what is with that? Why have I been like disassociating myself? Is it like the sexuality part? Is it this and that? So just so interesting. So coming back to your story, first of all, what was the documentary called? Because I'm gonna want to watch it. So
Right. Okay. Well, I will look right here. And it's funny because it's reminded me of another documentary I've seen on Gaia. I don't know if you have a Gaia membership, and I don't know that I'm
I
pronouncing it
don't,
right
but
either.
I've heard of it. Yes.
There is a documentary on that also that I'm watching for the third time called "The Gut is the Second Brain," and
Okay.
about
I
how
just
we.
got the Mind Gut Connection book.
Oh gosh, yeah. The video is about an hour and a half long, and you can find it on Amazon.
Okay.
Watch it for free if you have Prime. It's
Okay,
amazing.
I do.
Yeah, that one and this one is good. And I watched them in the order of seeing that documentary first. And my husband is the one who found the juicing. And I don't want to like interrupt the flow of this. So
No,
I
go
like
ahead.
see it right off the top. I don't see it right off the right in the beginning. But it's an Australian man who
Okay.
does it for 3 days because he's incredibly sick. And he ends up doing this for, I think, 90 days is what he does this for, and changes his entire life and goes around the country and is just changing other people's lives. And he does a second documentary and he follows up with some of these people. And it's incredible because from a fitness standpoint, it really spoke to my husband about health. And for me, from a spiritual standpoint, it spoke to me about addictions. Like, it was incredible to see when you peel, like they talk about peeling the onion layers away, when you peel them off and you actually see this inner part of yourself, and sometimes it's the inner child, sometimes it's the inner prostitute. You see these parts of yourself and you have so much compassion for that because you know why you made that choice. You know what
Yes.
that felt like. And the hardest part is then at some level you get this integration with the fact that so did that person that hurt you. So that situation, like, it's very raw. Like
That's the word that I was just literally gonna say. I'm like, it's very raw. It's like, really, who are we all when we don't have these layers that are covering up the self? Like, we're all like just kind of almost dying to be ourselves, like with addiction or covering things up or running away from things. But really, like, we just want to be ourselves. We don't know how to do that. So then we just are like making these choices that aren't good. And it's like dying to be ourselves, basically.
Absolutely. That's exactly how it feels. We're so terrified to look within that we are willing to kill the body and survive on some type of a supplement or life support so that we can experience living without actually having to acknowledge what's going on inside of our bodies and what we're doing to ourselves. I firmly believe, and it's a little scary and vulnerable to say, but I think the only thing that kills us is stress.
Yeah, I a bajillion
That's it.
percent agree. If we didn't worry, if we didn't stress, we didn't have fear, all that stuff, we would just be thriving, going with the flow.
Everybody thinks that that means irresponsibility. I think that's
I
the
know.
opposite. I think that's the exact
Thank
opposite.
you.
Gosh. Yeah, this
I
is awesome.
thank you. I'm like, I totally know. Like when I first like entered this like realm of healing and stuff, I'm like, I think people think that I live in fairyland. Like that I'm like woo
I,
woo fairyland, like judging me for like being irresponsible. I'm like, no, this is like real. Like this isn't like that at all.
yeah, it takes a lot of responsibilities to be able to look at a situation and own your part. I think that's
Yes,
the maturest thing a human being can do. If you can't
I
own
agree.
your own part, if you can't own the fact that you chose the job, if you can't own the fact that you went on the second date with that man, even though, if you can't own the fact that you knew you weren't responsible or ready enough to have a child, you still did it. If you can't own that, then you're the victim of everything that follows after.
Mm-hmm.
It's you just don't have a choice.
Yes.
You do have a choice to take ownership, but if you're not strong enough emotionally to take ownership of that, then the only other option is that you have to take you're the victim of everything that happened after.
Yep. So how did you decide on how many days you're going to juice for, and how did you know
Well,
what to juice?
we didn't.
Mm-hmm.
We had a juicer that we'd gotten as a wedding gift, and it sat in the house for 5 years and was never used. And David saw that, and we just went to the store and we bought everything organic that you could eat the skin. And
I love it.
you know, if you didn't have to, like, if it was an orange and I got to peel the skin off, then I was, you know, okay with it. But like my beets, they were organic. The leeks, they were organic. Like we tried bok choy and kale and carrots, and now we buy rutabaga and turnips all the time and roast them because they're phenomenal. You know, we got pineapples and
Cool.
watermelon is phenomenal. Watermelon and cucumbers should just be added to everything just because there's so much water content.
Mm-hmm.
And along with the addiction that we get from the chemicals in food triggering inside of our intestines, we get a rush of serotonin when we put something fake in our body. It automatically triggers, and that's what that movie taught me. And so we confuse that with feeling better. It instantly just gives
Yes.
euphoric feeling when now your body has to go attack something. Now your
Mm-hmm.
body's react to that thing that you just put in. So when you take that away, you also have the habit of the activity of eating, all of that. So the more liquid you can add to your juice, like the better chance that you have of not giving in to needing something to crunch on. Or because honestly, we got every ounce of micronutrients that we needed out of 8 ounces for an entire day.
Oh, wow.
By the time we hit the beginning of our second week, we started going to the gym.
Awesome.
It literally threw our energy through the roof. The 21st day is when that's when we stopped, because that was when I went into complete panic mode.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had abusers that were alive and were predominant in my life at that time. So
Yep.
we had already decided to move to Fort Collins. That had been decided the week prior, and I didn't know why. And I sit here knowing exactly why. But
Yes.
it's not been easy to go back to. And that's my journey, is to get back there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to use the 12-step recovery program to try to get myself back to juicing.
Incredible. I was just going to ask you if you were still juicing or if you're taking your break, and maybe you'll come back to it, like, or just drink one with your day as you're eating too.
Yeah, we've tried to go back. I say we a lot because I depend on my husband a lot for support through this.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just absolutely incredible.
Oh, I love
He's
that.
actually chosen therapy and juicing and this 12-step program along with me. like for his own life. So
Oh my
I
God,
know.
we have to do another episode. We will. It'll be like a follow-up. Like, tell me about the therapy, tell me about all the things. Like, how is your rocket ship life? Like, I love it. I love it. I also say we a lot too, because me and my partner are like, we've been together almost 4 years, I guess, this summer. And we do so much like together. Like when we watched What the Health, we're like, we're going vegan for a year. We did that together.
Yeah.
Or like got the juicer together, same. Like we do the juicing together. We're both doing the wild detox, like rose detox right now. Like we do so much together, and like just having that support makes things so much easier. Like even when I think about eating something else, I'm like, oh no, like me and you are eating this together. Like we got this, or like I'm taking you to therapy and then I'm going for therapy afterwards and we're going to feel so great this evening. Like it really does help when you're doing it together, instead of like having that one person that really is designing that path of wanting to be better and the other one's stuck because they're scared of what change would look like.
Yes.
Then you start kind of getting on different paths and you're hoping a person catches up, but you don't want to force them, and that's another episode too.
Yes. So yeah, he's it's kind of inspiring. It's sad in some moments when I hear him use language that I know is harmful to him. And then if I'm also learning with him to hold space. That is really, really difficult. It's really difficult because I'm a fixer.
Yes.
I've always been a proponent of the other person's best version of themselves. Always. I always see the best in everybody. And I always feel this intuitive, like assistance or something. And I always want to share it. And I've had to really look at the fact that the majority of the time it's for me. This conversation is as equally for the other person as it is for me. And then if I slow down and I meditate on the conversation, I won't end up saying the wrong thing and I'll know exactly what to say when it's over. And sometimes sometimes it is nothing at all. And I'm a talker. That's been hard.
Me too. My partner is PTSD, and I'm always like, well, let's talk about it and share our emotions. But then sometimes it's like the reason that he's triggered or what's really going on doesn't even make sense. So me trying to dig in to make sense of it is making it worse. So like if I just hold space and love you and know it's gonna be okay, it's totally different. But same, like I'm a talker. Like I want to talk about everything.
I do, yes. Oh, my husband actually had to tell his therapist that exact thing. Session. Like, she says to him, well, if you have this conversation with your wife, how will she take it? And he goes, oh, she'll love it.
She loves talking.
Yeah, he's like,
so why did you guys decide on the 21 days? Is that like just what it said in the documentary to do?
Oh,
like
no,
you just decided 21?
That 21st day is when I had the breakdown.
Oh, so it just happened to be 21. It wasn't, you were just going until you were going to stop.
Yeah, we didn't, I mean, we got probably 2 weeks in and we looked at each other and said, I don't really care if we do anything different. Like we didn't care. And let me put this picture for you. We have such a humongous kitchen because we used to actually do Facebook Lives cooking food on our Facebook. Oh my God. We make up our own flavored coleslaws. We have like all these personal recipes from our families that we create together and we make fusions of. I had an entire 3-cabinet section full of baking things. I had a pantry that had Cheetos in it. Just say Cheetos. I'm not much of a processed food person, but there were Cheetos in that pantry.
Yes.
And we had a whole refrigerator and freezer full of food during that juicing. And we never touched it. We didn't have any, like we were more consumed in everything that was coming up. Like we fought. There is no denying it. And thank God the both of us were unemployed. Because we had to go out in the world and go to jobs. And we bought everything to juice. So we only ended up going to the grocery store 2 more times during that whole thing. And the gym was just because we didn't have any equipment at home. Like, you know, my husband loved treadmills. So we got a gym membership and we were there every day for an hour running.
Wow. I can so see you creating something huge from this, like books and PDFs and like addiction and awareness and like letting go of the shadow and like be naked, like this kind.
Yes.
Yeah, I can see so much.
I feel all of that too. And it's funny that you brought that up, because I have, over the past 12 years, created all the sections to this business without knowing this.
Wow.
And the way that I found you is incredibly funny and a little bit embarrassing.
Okay, I love it.
Yeah.
I love good stories.
I have an addiction to URLs.
Okay.
And I buy domain names all the time. Like I have an idea and I buy it. My one of my books that I'm going to write is The Origin of the Predator. So the second I had the book idea, I went off and I bought the URL. Well, when I got to Colorado, I have a friend here who I built the Vibe Tribe for her. It's her online membership, and she's a guided meditationist. And throughout building that for her and getting to know her more on a personal basis and what she does, I was like, oh, wouldn't it be great if I could buy the cannabis coach?
Oh yes.
So wait, so what do? I go to GoDaddy and I get so excited that I buy this version and this version and this version of it, only to realize I've spelled cannabis wrong.
Oh.
I couldn't believe it was available. I was like, this is so great. Like, this is phenomenal. And then
they're like, no. Some people might have just thought it was like a play on words or something.
Oh, yeah. Epic fail. Nope. It's just totally spelled wrong. It's so bad. And I own 3. I own Cannabis Coach, The Cannabis Coach, and something else. And I was like, God, no wonder. It's so funny. It was so funny. So when I found you, I was like, oh, I'm just going to use those domains and link them to her because she's already doing it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's so funny.
I know. It's just, it was so great.
But we need more cannabis coaches all over the world. So
I
totally add that in your repertoire somewhere and ask me questions anytime.
Yeah, and like it's great. It's really great because I instantly knew when I saw your Facebook page, there was just something about all the information that I saw on my screen. I was just like, I'm meant to know her.
That like makes me want to cry. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Because that's like something that I like when I'm like manifesting or, you know, you're dreaming like the core desires and the feelings. I'm always like, I just want like people to somehow find me. And when they do find me, just like get this feeling like they're like, it's safe to be here. I'm meant to be here. Like just getting a feeling and then like knowing help is there or whatever is needed is there. Or if not, you can ask me and we can talk. Like I just want to be such like a heartfelt, safe, welcoming space. Like that's connected like energetically. Because like I'm from a super small town and I didn't grow up with internet or anything like that. So for me, I'm like, it's just so exciting that like people can find you through the internet. Like it still amazes me. And I've had internet for years, but it just amazes me. And I'm like, that's what I want. Like, I just want the universe to somehow bring the people. And when they find the space, they're like, yes.
Yes. Yeah, that resonates with me super deeply because I'm the same way. And I have even to the point of reducing my Facebook friends down to under 80. Like everything in my life has to have meaning. It has to inspire growth. It has to be a true soul connection for me, or I just don't find the time for it any longer. And
Mm-hmm.
there are people that claim to have their feelings hurt. And I was like, you have my phone number. Like, I love you. I love you. I love everybody that's ever been in my life. I adore you. If I mean that much, follow my page or pick up the phone and call me.
Yes.
It's like no two ways about it anymore.
So we're definitely gonna have to do a follow-up episode in like a couple months even or something, just to see like how's the move, what's going on, like see all the good things that have been dug up, all the intense stuff that has been dug up. And just see where everything goes. I would love that.
Oh, me too. I would love that a lot. This is wonderful.
And if anyone like wants to reach out to you or anything, are you okay with like giving your email or your Facebook page?
They could just simply type my name into Google, Anne Bariola.
Okay.
Started out in SEO 12 years ago, so I've pretty well SEO'd myself.
Yeah, so cool.
You don't have a hard time finding me at all.
So cool. Do you have any final like words of wisdom or tips, anything like that you'd like to share?
Wow. Yeah, your only competition is who you were yesterday.
Oh, great. Can I put that on my page later?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I'm like, oh my God. Yes, that's true. That is your only competition. We tend to make it so much bigger and worse and chaotic than what it needs to be.
Yes, we do. We do. It's frightening because you don't know it.
No, you
No matter
don't, because it's real at the time.
Yes. The
You're like
only
in a
thing that's real
fishbowl
is now.
drowning.
Yep. So that's all I have. That's all I try to do. If I can just be a little bit better than I was yesterday, I've succeeded. That's
Incredible. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me. And I am so excited that you just shared so much like with juicing and everything that's been brought up, because I feel like that's a part that doesn't get talked about as much. Usually it's like, look at my green juice and how cool I am. And it's like, well, it's a little bit more than that. Like,
oh, it's an ugly process that produces a beautiful result.
mm-hmm. That's why I like that mud and the lotus analogy for yoga. Like it's muddy, but then you get this beautiful lotus in the end.
Absolutely. Yeah. Life, death, life cycle. If we approach everything in life with that intention, to allow it to manifest, to enjoy it, appreciate it while it's here, and release it when its time is done, nothing will go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I have to do it, so.
Thank you so much. And we are going to do this again. I can't wait.
Me too. Thank you so much for having me. This was wonderful.